Welcome to episode 874 of the Wrestling Observer Podcast, recapping AEW All Out 2024 with a lot of things going on. Quite an extreme night of matches. But besides that, we also had quite a few matches that were the proving grounds of some of the pillars that we have within AEW, trying to get them forward in some very feature feuds. And I look at two of those matches being, starting off with MJF and Daniel Garcia. So the fact that MJF right now is working with Daniel Garcia, he gets the win tonight in a pretty gruesome match that he had with each other, pretty physical. But Daniel Garcia and his anger is being proven in this storyline that, you know, he's young and he is very hot and he can't control his anger, can't control the situation he's in. MJF is just a bit smarter and outsmarts him in a lot of different spots. And with MJF getting the win tonight and then Daniel Garcia getting the heat back to continue the feud, that makes sense to me. I don't have a problem with seeing MJF finding a way to win just because he's going to do that. And then Daniel Garcia can continue to go and be upset, be angry, and have the vitriol he has right now against MJF, but it's still not working. He's not finding a way around being able to go ahead and satisfy or satiate his anger he has towards MJF. And somewhere I think that down the line, that Daniel Garcia, even though he's very frustrated and angry right now, I think the storyline is going to be eventually that even with MJF, he wants to manipulate Daniel like he was starting to do anyway, and that Daniel Garcia is starting to break. And while Daniel Garcia continues to say he's going to do whatever he can to screw over MJF and destroy every bit of his life, that somewhere, somehow, Daniel Garcia is going to become MJF, or he's going to be a stooge or a student of MJF. I think that's something that might happen down the line. That's where I think they go with it. Because, I mean, we've had him as a heel before, but as an allegiance to Chris Jericho. But right now, to see him here, and let's see if we can get somewhere forward and build upon the character he is, because we're getting a lot of emotion out of him, but his emotions are making him make mistakes. That's what we're seeing right now, and that's the build-up of that storyline. That works for me. We keep that up. Then you go along, and we had other matches tonight that definitely gave us, I would say, some predictable but great matches to watch tonight. Pac and Will Ospreay, the National Championship on the line, Young Bucks and Blackpool Combat Club for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Those are matches that they're going to be great matches, no doubt about it, and they were, but predictable, and most likely we weren't going to see any change of outcome that we would expect, because as we saw, Will Ospreay and the Young Bucks retain their titles respectively. There were quite a few matches I missed because there was a lot of football today, and I had just come back late from watching college football, and there was just so much going on there. So I missed the Acclaimed beating the Iron Savages. I missed Hologram, Sammy Guevara, and Dustin Rhodes beating the Premier Athletes. And I missed Bang Bang Gang in a trios match beating the Dark Order. And I missed Undisputed Kingdom beating the Beast Mortos and Shane Taylor Promotions and Action and Jody and Top Flight. So there were just extra matches they added on that I guess it was just kind of a, here's a chance to go and get on TV. We didn't put you at All In Wembley, so here's the All Out show. We'll put you on this show instead, I guess. And then we had the Chicago Street Fight, Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, 15 minutes. These two really did go ahead and destroy each other. Tables, a lot of physicality in this match. And Kris Statlander looking like an MMA fighter with the chain around her neck on the way out. Pretty gruesome. And I feel like we're seeing from what's happened here with Kris Statlander in the storyline, because of what she's been doing with Willow Nightingale, the Kris Statlander character has definitely changed. Definitely more MMA fighter. Definitely more of a tough, gruff kind of character now. And that works out. It's a different look for her, a different feel to her. And Stokely's acting like he's, Don King over here with the promotion over here for her. And that's how it works out with that. But in that kind of match, Willow Nightingale does not take the win and took a beating for it. But yeah, very physical, extreme match for them tonight. Kazuchika Okada taking care of Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Konosuke Takeshita. 4-way match for the AEW Continental title. They had a lot of setup with a collision on Friday night to set up the match. It was a quick turnaround just to get something here, but Okada getting him on the show and putting him in this match featured here, and he continues to win in pretty strong fashion. I don't know who they have down the line that will be an opponent for him coming up going forward. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what they're going to decide they're going to do for at Wrestle Dream, which that's coming up October 12th. So we get another 4 weeks and we get another pay-per-view with Wrestle Dream in Tacoma, Washington. We got to go and worry about that coming up. And then we get Full Gear to wrap things up for the year. And then World's End. So a lot of stuff going on. But now, the matches really stood out for me tonight. The other match we also saw, Mercedes Moné, Hikaru Shida, no Kamille at ringside. Also a good strong match, but Mercedes Moné with the win. Set up for that. I kind of figured that much. The last two matches where we saw a lot of storylines, some pretty big main event storylines here. So Bryan Danielson goes 27 minutes with Jack Perry. Very good match. Jack Perry getting the chance to go ahead and be showcased here. There was quite a bit of plunder with the Elite being involved during the match, but Bryan Danielson still getting the win. A lot of talk about Bryan Danielson in terms of him being world champion, needing neck surgery down the line, and still fighting it through because he got the championship chance now. He has the belt. He's going to continue to defend it as much as he can, and the injuries are not going to stop him from holding on to that title because that's what he was looking for. He was trying to go and get that spot for himself and make the point in commentary that he is champion on his own terms, and he's not going to have to relinquish the title for any reason, much like he had to do in WWE, right? So that's the whole story right here, to bring that point across without mentioning the other company. I thought Jack Perry looked really good in this match. Much like the same way they're doing with Daniel Garcia, the pillars still are important. Now, we know that Darby Allin is being called out constantly by Jon Moxley. And now let's go and segue into Jon Moxley because of the fact that Bryan Danielson was about to get the contract cashed in by Christian Cage and the Patriarchy. Luchasaurus comes out, confronts Jack Perry. We're seeing a little bit of that. We're trying to figure out what's going on there. Obviously, I know that, Killswitch Luchasaurus still is involved with Patriarchy, but maybe people might have gotten themselves off the side because of the fact that Jack Perry and Luchasaurus are looking at each other. Not sure what to think about it. But then Blackpool Combat Club come out for the defense, for the stop. And so when you look at Claudio, Pac, Marina Shafir, in allegiance with Moxley, and Willow Yuta not part of that group, it's pretty obvious that these are former WWE stars being put together into a faction. That Moxley is leading a mutiny, which you have to assume at this point, given that we know there's the whole deal with Shane McMahon possibly doing something to work with AEW, that some kind of a beneficiary or some kind of a role will be coming in here with Shane McMahon coming in to be part of this group. Now, it took a long time for AEW to decide to go and do some kind of an invasion angle or have some kind of group together that's used from a different promotion and kind of go this route. As we know, when WWE, and I will say this over and over, one of the biggest mistakes that WWE ever did, which I'm glad I never watched because I was already tuned out of wrestling by the middle of 2001 after WCW folded. And after ECW folded, I was done. I mean, nothing was going to get me back into wrestling like it was. Not for a few years. And because of that, I missed the entire invasion angle. And I'm glad I did. I mean, I basically missed the invasion angle and Bischoff as general manager. So I know there was quite a few things that I would end up catching up on. But no matter what, the other thing that didn't help either was that a lot of that time, it was Spike TV that had WWE, right? Because it was where Raw was at. And so for the most part, I wasn't catching it there. And I remember, I think SmackDown was on My Network TV by that point because UPN had already dropped. So I was already having trouble trying to watch WWE programming in the first place. And then I just kind of just turned off because the access isn't there. Like Spike TV was on my cable system, but it was that time where we still had the analog cable. And if I'm trying to watch channel 75 on my cable in the linear coaxial cable days, then anything above channel 60 on my cable box was going to look like shit. And it did, because the weaker it got, the higher the channels went up. Not until after we got the digital that we get a big change to that. But either which way, it's all former WWE stars that are here. And Jon Moxley being the most formidable, I want to figure out where this is going to go. But again, we are very much, I mean, it's that, but then where they want to go and approach Darby Allin. So I'm not sure. There's a whole lot that has been not decoded and not clear yet, but they're keeping us in suspense. We're trying to figure out what will the pieces of this puzzle look like. We don't know yet. But obviously what they did tonight was any relation to the Blackpool Combat Club is gone. That faction has been dissolved. Wheeler Yuta being pushed back and held back from trying to help out Bryan Danielson as Moxley takes a plastic bag. Wow. It was like something out of Nexus, right? Moxley with a plastic bag over Bryan Danielson's face. I mean, yes, there was something in there to go ahead and let Danielson breathe, but still, that looked pretty gruesome. Quite a visual we saw tonight. And then the other visual you get with Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, 30 minutes. This match felt like an hour. This was wild. Cinder blocks, needles. I mean, damn. Like, this match really did feel like a brawl. It felt like a fight. It felt like there was a lot of real hatred in this match. And, people all across X or Twitter or other social media out there, there's a lot of praise that the feud of the year is Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Going back to Wrestle Dream 2022 rather, that was, or 2023, right? That was mentioned by Excalibur commentary. Yeah, these two right here, this was like Adam Page really on a rampage here, just going off, and the hypodermic needle poking through the cheek and destroying the grill of Swerve Strickland, and the chair shots and the table spots, and that was a lot. Now, and the splinter from the home, the callback to the house being burned down. That's quite a bit done right there. So, I mean, equally got a lot of licks on each other, with Swerve getting the splinter, poking it right into Hangman Adam Page in the side of the face, and the double stomp through the table also, and the cinder block. I don't even know how they went in and pulled that move where Swerve is able to go hit that, the dead eye or whatever it was, onto Adam Page, and where he just scraped that cinder block. That was legitly real. That's a real scrape on the back. And then for Swerve to go ahead and take it head on and take it on the spine. What in the world, man? You guys are seriously some pain freaks here for some of the damage you took to each other. It was wild. But when they say lights out match, they really do mean it. That's what they always kind of make it. The only match that ever was lights out that was disappointing was the exploding barbed wire match. We all know that. This was, just the response of the crowd at the end of the match was, people were just kind of in shock. They really couldn't say anything, and I can't blame them. I don't know what you say after that. There's not much else you can say, period. So that's a lot going on right there. And so overall, another pay-per-view coming up with Wrestle Dream in 4 weeks. We got to look forward to that. And then, I don't even know what you do next with this and just how this all works out here. But, this show, to go ahead and come back 2 weeks later from doing the All Out show in Wembley on pay-per-view and what they were going to set up. I'm quite impressed by that they were going to pull that off. But yeah, they did it. And that was something else. That was quite amazing that they were going to pull it off like they did. So there's that. Wrestle Dream comes up, and we'll have that. Much more that's going to be going on this show as well. I can only imagine what they're going to be doing and what they're going to set up. But I'm not going to go in and linger too much more about All Out. We'll spend some time again and find out what the fallout of all this is right now on Dynamite coming up on Wednesday night. And then we start WWE Week, right? Because we get apparently Raw, NXT and SmackDown on USA all at the same time, and they're all commercial free, I think it is, or limited commercial, something like that. We'll see what they're going to do, because now they're going to be coming up with Monday Night Football and a lot of college football as well. Like, I'm really curious what the Friday night game, the NFL game in Brazil, did to damage both AEW and WWE on the Friday night ratings. We'll keep an eye on that for the show coming up on Wednesday. But until then, come back for another Wrestling Observer podcast, because wrestling needs us.